Welcome to the bestgamecamera.com Gear Overview. Hi, I'm Jason, and I'll be here to guide you through a few of the features that the Spartan SR1 series wireless cameras have that you as a wireless trail cam user will find interesting and can fill your various needs. This is a Spartan SR1 series wireless camera. As we look at its basic dimensions, we see that it's approximately 6 inches by 5 inches. The antenna adds just shy of 8 inches to the overall height of the unit. These figures are fairly standard, as they're dictated by the 12AA battery form factor that powers this camera. We'll look at this in greater detail later in this video. Starting with the antenna, we see that the Spartan unit is equipped with the so-called enhanced antenna. While this doesn't work miracles in bad signal areas, it's certainly an improvement over the previous stubby antennas that we've seen on a lot of wireless cameras. The next most prominent feature is the large infrared flash array located directly below the antenna. In this case, we have pictured the blackout flash. Spartans are available in both black flash as well as a low glow infrared flash. Both types have shown very good performance in our testing of the units. Looking at the camera body itself, it is a fairly standard square format. However, it features a very nice 3D breakup pattern, which is fairly effective when placed against trees such as pine and oak. At the bottom of the camera, we see the PIR sensor. Spartan claims a trigger range of around 60 feet. We think this is fairly reasonable, depending on environmental conditions. They also claim a trigger speed of around 1 second. Our testing reveals this to be fairly accurate. The camera itself on the SR1 is a fairly standard 8 megapixel. This is more than enough resolution to produce fine quality, sharp images under almost any lighting conditions. The SR1 is also capable of capturing video. Its native setting appears to be 720p. However, the unit does have a software setting for a 1080p. In comparing the two, we see that the 720p looks remarkably similar to the 1080p footage. Therefore, we're assuming that the 720p is actually its native resolution and the 1080p is an interpolated digital upgrade. Therefore, we recommend the 720p setting. On the right side of the camera, we see the latching system. This is a very well thought out, full-length latch that is both durable and easy to use. Gone are the small, delicate latches that we've seen on so many earlier models of cameras. It's easy to use with both bare hands as well as gloved hands. It goes to show that Spartan really did take their time in thinking about the engineering of this camera. As we opened up the SR1, the first thing that we noticed was the full sealing gasket around the left side of the camera. This mates up to a flush sealing surface on the right side of the camera. While it may seem obvious that a broad flush sealing surface would provide a superior seal, so many other models on the market, even today, still have irregular shapes and cutouts along their sealing surfaces, which are so prone to leakage. This, along with the positive sealing pressure provided by the large latch, creates what we believe to be one of the best sealed cameras on the market today. Next, you'll notice the 2-inch full-color display. While compared to the smartphones that many of us carry around in our pockets these days, it's not particularly large. It is, however, more than adequate to review the images that have been taken by the camera, as well as gives more than enough space to go through the menu-driven interface for programming the camera. To the left are the SIM and SD card slots. While normally not warranting much discussion, the SD card slot does have a nice cutout, which makes it easy to remove and insert the SD card. If you've ever tried to insert an SD card into some of the tighter cameras, you'll know why this is important. When it comes to actually working with the camera, the main feature you'll be interested in is the buttons and switches. The SR1 does not feature any small switches or buttons that are hard to deal with bare hands or gloved hands. You'll notice the large buttons in a logical and easy to use layout. These buttons make a noticeable click when they're pushed. This can be very handy if you've got gloves on your hands and you can't exactly feel if you've pressed the button or not. The on-off switch is also large and features an audible click when turned on, off, or into setup mode. In working with the SR1, we found all the buttons and switches to be just about where we'd expect them to be. This is a pleasant feature as we often find buttons and switches in strange places that make them hard to use. Finally, when opening the camera, it's very hard to miss the 12 battery bay to the right. These are AA batteries, so they're fairly inexpensive to replace. Speaking of replacing batteries, one of the most common questions that we hear is what's the battery life for this unit? The answer is, it depends. It's highly subject to the settings of the camera. Essentially, for any wireless camera, the more it transmits, the higher the battery usage. So if the camera is programmed to take many pictures and transmit them on a regular basis, then the battery usage is going to be fairly high. We see anywhere between a couple of weeks and a couple of months as average figures. However, we do recommend that anyone who has their camera settings to take and transmit pictures on a regular basis consider any of the solar power pack options that we offer, as this will pay for themselves in fairly short order. Getting back to the actual design of the camera, we do see that the battery bay is separated into upper and lower sections. The batteries themselves do not touch end to end, so therefore they're not prone to popping out, which is something that we've seen on other cameras when the batteries were placed against each other in tension. They tended to bow out and arch up. This is just another small example of the fact that the Spartan team obviously looked for small deficiencies or improvements that could be made on other models and brought them all together in a single package. When it comes to trail cameras, particularly wireless cameras, all the great design features in the world really don't amount to anything if the camera is too hard to program and use. This is an area where we feel like the SR1 has definitely made improvements over previous generations of cameras on the market. It's apparent that they've spent a good deal of time considering the simplest possible way to program the camera under all circumstances. We find this particularly interesting because not only is the SR1 easier to program than most cameras that we've seen, it also has more features and abilities than previous generations of cameras. In looking at the screen itself, we see that there are 4 icons and a label above the solid line. The icon highlighted in green indicates the active page, and the label to the right will actually tell you which page you are on. This makes it much harder to get lost in the menus, which is a common problem on many other models. Looking at a few of the pages gives us a good opportunity to overview all the different features that the SR1 actually has. The first page, which is camera, you can clearly see that there are only 3 options. These options allow you to select either photo or video mode, allows you to set the resolution of either the photos or videos, and finally, it gives us the ability to change the settings for the photo burst mode. This is a popular feature that many cameras have, however, the SR1 series has improved upon it by also giving us the ability to change the interval between the images. In burst mode, the camera will take 3 images in either 1 second or approximately 5-second intervals. The next page we'll see is the trigger page. This page contains many of the interesting settings for the camera. As you can see, the settings for trigger interval, time lapse, and the duty time settings are here. It is interesting to note that the Spartan SR1 series does have multiple duty times, as we can see in the Stop Start 1 and Stop Start 2 menu options. The duty time function essentially allows the camera to be turned on and off at specific times during the day. For example, only be active during sunset or sunrise. The third page that we see is the system menu. This is what we refer to as the housekeeping page. While most of the settings here are fairly obvious, one of note is the overwrite function. This allows the camera to simply keep recording images or video onto the SD card even if the card is full. It does this by recording in a loop, which replaces the first images that are saved on the card with the most recent ones. This is an important feature because some older models of wireless cameras simply stopped working when the memory card became full. The final page on the camera is the wireless page. This is the page that contains all the wireless functions of the camera. We're currently looking at the first of 2 pages in the wireless menu. While this sounds like a lot of settings, it can essentially be boiled down to the fact that you simply have to tell the camera where to send it, how to send it, and when to send it. Having worked with many wireless cameras over the years, we can tell you that we believe that this menu is one of the most straightforward and easy to program out of any model that we've ever handled. If you'd like to see more information about how these menus work, including programming the wireless section, please see our video on programming the SR1.